Baltimore, they always like to go to Inner Harbor. And one day I was walking at Inner Harbor and I was like, what is this thing? I'm like, this is really cool. It has eyes on it. And it's like all this trash coming up to it. And I'm like, what does this thing do? And somebody said, that's Mrtrashwheelwheel. I'm like, oh, Mrtrashwheelwheel. I think I've had that beer before. But we're not talking about the beer today. We're going to talk about Mrtrashwheelwheel on the next NoPixAfterDark podcast. The next voices you'll hear are the people that are behind Mrtrashwheelwheel.
The NoPixAfterDark podcast is proudly partnered with Maggies Farm. Located at 4341 Hartford Road, Maggies Farm offers a unique dining experience with delicious handcrafted cocktails and mouth-watering cuisine, from falafels to scallops and everyone's favorites, honey sriracha cauliflower wings. Open for dinner from 4 p.m. until 10 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday, and for brunch, Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. with delectable chicken and waffles, shrimp and grits, biscuits and gravy, and more. Check out Maggies Farm on Instagram and Facebook for daily and weekly food specials.
NoPixAfterDark is sponsored by Snug Books, an independent bookstore serving Northeast Baltimore and beyond. In addition to featuring new books for all ages, the store also carries cards, stationery, gifts, games, and more. Visit snugbooks.com to shop online, learn more about the store, read our latest newsletter, and find a calendar of events, or come browse the store in person. Snug Books is located at 4717 Hartford Road, next to Zekes Coffee in Hamilton, Laurelville. There is free parking behind the store, and opening hours are Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Welcome to the NoPixAfterDark podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Dante. Thank you guys for listening today. It's a great show. I'm so excited. I have some awesome people coming on that I'm like pinching myself because I can't believe I have them on the show. It's been taking about 3 or 4 months to happen, but so happy to happen. Miss Chelsea, Mr. Adam, how are you guys doing?
Good. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so excited to be here today.
Sorry, I'm sweating a little bit. It's a little warm.
It's toasty.
A little warm.
No
It's toasty, but thank you guys for coming uptown to Northeast Baltimore. I call it Disney World up here.
Disney World. I mean, this room is Disney World.
I love it. Thanks again. Thank you guys so much for your time. I know time is hard to get back. So, again, tell the audience a little bit about yourselves. I mean, we're talking about Mrtrashwheelwheel today.
Yep.
But tell us a little bit about yourselves. Are you guys from Baltimore? And what is your favorite childhood memory growing up?
Go for it.
All right. So my name is Adam Lindquist. I am the Vice President of Environmental Programs at the Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore, where we really work to clean up and restore the Baltimore Harbor, making it safer for recreation, making it more accessible for recreation. I mean, the Baltimore Harbor is an amazing, not just the Inner Harbor as the destination, but as a living, breathing ecosystem, a chance for environmental education, for recreation in a natural waterway. Our job is to really promote the Inner Harbor and just help to clean it up, which is how we came to start talking about Mrtrashwheelwheel and what he could do for our waterways. Favorite childhood memory? Just going back to that. I love water. I love kayaking. I grew up near Ithaca, New York, where they say Ithaca is gorgeous because it's full of these gorgeous with these cascading waterfalls. I spent my childhood swimming in those waterfalls, climbing up them, and it's just, it stuck with me forever. I want clean water. I want to recreate in water.
All right. Well, I'm Chelsea Anspach. I'm the communications manager at Waterfront Partnership. I do manage Mrtrashwheel's social media. And my story is actually similar to yours, finding out about Mrtrashwheel. I was just walking on the promenade when I first moved to Baltimore. And it was actually Professor Trashwheel that I saw first with that. She has eyelashes. She's so cute. It was like the hottest day ever. So I was really miserable going on this walk. It was also like my birthday. I just remember being like, why did I decide to do this? And then I saw this like machine in the water. I'm like, what the heck is this googly-eyed thing? And then did a lot of research, fell in love with the trash wheels. A couple years later, started working for them. So that was really fun. I am from Southern Maryland. I was born in Baltimore. My mom's from here. My grandma's from here. But I grew up in Southern Maryland, so Calvert County, Solomon's Island area. Kind of like Adam, very watery. Favorite childhood memory. I always think about 4th of July with my family because it's always a big deal. We have crabs. We're on the water. We used to race turtles, which probably sounds horrible. But there was this nature center by my grandma's house, and they had a lot of turtles. What you do is you put these turtles in the middle of a circle, and just whichever turtle reaches the end of the circle first wins. And as a kid, it was the coolest thing ever. It took forever also.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Now you're from Ithaca, up that way?
Yep.
Ithaca's gorgeous.
I mean, yeah, Ithaca is gorgeous. I'm from Elmira, New York, which is just a couple minutes south of Ithaca. But yeah, that whole upstate New York region around the Finger Lakes.
So we have something in common, right? Did you know that?
What's that?
Upstate New York, or we call it Western. Upstate Western, whatever you want to call it. I went to college at Syracuse.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I was down the street from Ithaca. I used to go party in Ithaca for Ithaca Day, whatever it was called, something like that. And Cornell was right across the street from there. And I used to love going down there to the wineries and just...
Yeah, the Finger Lakes region has some amazing wineries.
And now I get where the nature comes from, because there's nothing but nature out there, and it's beautiful, just relaxing.
Yep.
And I like going down to southern Maryland. There's a restaurant called Kingfisher, I think.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. They have these rockfish bites that are to die for. And when I go down there, it's amazing. And it's right on the water, right before you go over that big bridge. It's on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think that's more a little bit Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
But those rockfish bites, that's a staple. My stepdad makes them all the time. Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, I would drive down there right now. That's how good they are.
You're making me hungry.
That's how good they are. So, for you guys, how did you end up at Waterfront Partnership? Let's talk about that, because Waterfront Partnership is who you guys work for.
Sure.
And Mrtrashwheelwheel is inside that
project
of it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys get the Waterfront Partnership? And talk a little bit about that, Waterfront Partnership, what it does.
Sure. Well, Waterfront Partnership is what's known as a business improvement district. And we have 5 or 6 of them in Baltimore City. They're in cities all around the world. And basically, they're places where the business community has come together and said, hey, we want to enhance city services to make this area really attractive, to potential employees, to visitors. And so Waterfront Partnership manages the Inner Harbor. And it's just all these businesses and developers coming together and saying, we volunteer to pay a surcharge on our taxes so long as it all goes back into the Inner Harbor. And what I love about our board and the businesses who make up Waterfront Partnership is that they didn't just stop at doing landscaping and cleaning litter off the ground in the harbor. They extended Waterfront Partnership into the actual water of the harbor as well. And they said, why can't we do something to clean up the Baltimore Harbor in addition to the land side? And so in 2010, they launched the Healthy Harbor Initiative, with a goal of making the harbor safe for swimming and fishing again.
I remember we talked about that on a tour the other day. And I remember they were saying about 26 is it? Or whenever you would be able to possibly swim in the harbor?
Well, sure. I mean, the initial goal in 2010 was to do it by 2020.
Oh, 2020, okay.
And I will say that significant progress has been made since 2010 to the point where the harbor is safe for recreation a majority of the time. But, after a rain event, that's when all the pollution gets washed off the streets of Baltimore and into our streams and harbors. So, just like a lot of the Chesapeake Bay, you want to stay out of the water, especially 48 hours after a major rain event.
Interesting.
And we saw that yesterday because there was a huge storm.
Yes.
And all of this trash just came piled up in front of our trash wheels.
Yeah, the picture that you saw on Instagram, Gwenda had all that trash in front of her, mostly plastic water bottles. Yeah. But yeah, you can really see what happens after a rainstorm.
I didn't think that was real. I had to pinch myself and say, "This is really serious." And then I text Paul. I'm like, "Paul, did you see this?" He's like, "Unreal." I'm like, "This is wild." Yeah. So that's amazing. How'd you end up at the Waterfront Partnership? How'd you end up there?
Well, I've been following the trash wheel for a while, and I actually first got involved in a smaller way during Fan Fest. Mrtrashwheelwheel is a fan fest every year where, artists make art, and I was a studio major. I'm always making things, so I made a trash wheel piece for this Fan Fest. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the event, but I went to Peabody Heights, dropped off the art. Robin, who was working at Waterfront Partnership at the time, I was like, hey, your job's super cool. If there's there's ever an opening, like, could you email me or something? And then like maybe 3 months later, she emailed me and was like, hey, I'm leaving for a new position somewhere else. Like, here's this job posting. But like at the time I was at like another job. I wasn't really ready for it. And then a couple more months went by and there was like a posting of Mrtrashwheel. And I was like, okay, this is the right time. I'm going for it. I like harassed Adam. I sent him emails like every day. I was like, you got to hire me. Here's another cartoon of the trash wheel.
Mrtrashwheel has for a trash interceptor, he's very unique. He has a personality. He has a voice, not a literal voice, but he has a way that he talks about things. He's this nerdy kind of excitable jokester who really thinks we can overcome not just the trash problems, but really any problems facing society. So you need a very special person to manage Mrtrashwheel's social media. And Chelsea is one in the line of a handful of people who have managed to successfully capture the sound and the tone and the personality of Mrtrashwheel. And so it sounds like it was a long courtship, but we were lucky to find you.
It was like long for me, but not long for you. Like you weren't a part of the whole process.
Wasn't aware until you applied.
Yeah. But there was like this whole journey, yeah.
But yeah, the fact that you had made Mrtrashwheel like fan art for one of our festivals, and then that you bombarded us with your trash wheel cartoon ideas.
I was like drawing like every day and like trying to come up with the collection and like would send it over to them. Like, oh, look at this. Like,
I love that.
Yeah.
But that's a passion that speaks about Mrtrashwheel. And that's what we brought you guys here today to talk about. Yeah. So folks from outside of Baltimore, they're probably like, what are they talking about? Mrtrashwheel? What are they? What's going on? So who invented Mrtrashwheel? Where did this all come from? What's the concept?
Well, let me take you back all the way back to 2008. So John Kellett is a local Baltimorean who was working for Living Classrooms Foundation at the time. And he used to walk to work every day, and he would walk across the walking bridge in the Inner Harbor that went over the Jones Falls stream. And especially after rain events, he saw all of this trash. And John is kind of a tinkerer and inventor, and he just thought, there's got to be some way to use the current of this river to sustainably power a device that could pick the trash up. And he was kind of inspired by farm equipment he worked on as a boy, like a hay baler
He's
concept.
from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Right,
yeah.
And so anyway, so John on his own got funding from the Able Foundation and support from the Department of Public Works in Baltimore City, and in 2008 piloted for about 8 months a small contraption that was kind of like a wooden shed. It sat at the end of the Jones Falls and had a water wheel and picked up trash as it came down the waterway. Unfortunately, no one had ever stopped the trash before coming down the Jones Falls, so no one quite knew what scale was necessary to pick it up. So that first mini trash wheel was undersized for the issue. And so after 8 months, that trash wheel was retired. But Waterfront Partnership saw the impact that even that small, undersized trash wheel was having on the trash in the harbor. So we immediately reached out to him after that pilot and said, hey, we want to work with you to build a bigger, better, more permanent trash interceptor. And that's what we did. And it took us until 2014 to launch the new trash interceptor, which is much larger and sits at the end of a river or a stream, in this case, the Jones Falls. It doesn't move around looking for trash. It has booms, containment booms, that funnel trash as it's coming down the stream to the front of the trash wheel, where a series of brakes and a conveyor belt pull the trash out of the water, put it into a dumpster sitting on a separate barge. When that barge fills, we tow it away to land, put in an empty dumpster, and keep rocking and rolling. Completely sustainably powered, we use solar panels and a water wheel to provide the power to keep the device operational. That's all amazing in and of itself, right? So it's the world's first sustainably powered trash interceptor. I went out there, and the first big rainstorm, I shot a video of Mrtrashwheel just working in the rain. We were picking up our first tire. It was a very exciting day to see the device finally operating. I put that up on my personal YouTube page, and someone posted it to Reddit, and it went to #1 on Reddit, and over a weekend received over 1 million views of this one video just showing Mrtrashwheel operating. And so that was really exciting because we never expected to have a viral video, right? We're like, wow, people are really into this. So we reached out to creative firms here in Baltimore because our board of directors was like, you guys have a viral video. What are you going to do next? And we're like, I don't know, make another viral video? But it's not that easy to make another viral video. So this company called What Works pitched the idea of giving Mrtrashwheel a Twitter account. And they came up with a little sketch where they just photoshopped googly eyes onto our trash interceptor. And, I said, let's name it Mrtrashwheel. And that's how Mrtrashwheel was born. And it took us many years to kind of build up the following that we have now. I mean, obviously. But that was how Mrtrashwheel came to be a sentient trash interceptor. And so now he has googly eyes on the device because people on the internet started a petition that said, hey, you guys can't just Photoshop eyeballs onto it. We need to see the eyeballs on the real device. So Mrtrashwheel became a huge success. And then we were able to crowdfund a second trash wheel called Professor Trash Wheel. And then we had 2 more since then, Captain Trash Wheel and Gwenda the Good Wheel of the West, picking up, over 300 tons of trash a year.
We'll talk. Hold on that thought. We're going to talk about Miss Trash Wheel, right?
Professor, I
Professor?
think. Yeah.
Professor? Okay. Okay, Professor. Right after these messages, folks, we'll be right back with Adam and Chelsea.
The NoPixAfterDark podcast is fueled by Zekes Coffee. Have you tried their coffee yet? I'm telling you, there's something different about it. Maybe it's because they roast their beans in a fluid coffee roaster, which provides the most accurate roasting temperatures and made with love. You will just have to check it out for yourself and try their delicious food while you're at it. Open now for curbside service, online ordering, carry out, and they also do wholesale. Visit Zekes Coffee at 4719 Hartford Road, open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, 8 to 5 p.m. Kitchen closes at 3 p.m. or visit ZekesCoffee.com and you too can be fueled by Zekes. Openworks is Baltimore's largest makerspace, offering access to tools ranging from 3D printers to welder and training in how to use them. Openworks also offers affordable studio space, a coffee shop, and fun-free events throughout the year. But Openworks is more than a public workshop. It's a community of creative professionals, students, seniors, entrepreneurs, and makers of all kinds. Check out the website at www.openworksbmore.org or Instagram at open_works_bmore for class schedules, membership options, and more.
Folks, we are back with Mrtrashwheel, talking about Mrtrashwheel. How exciting is that? And now you're learning more and more about it. We have Mr. Adam and Miss Chelsea here. Thank you guys for coming today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is great.
Yeah.
I'm so excited because I'm finally got you guys here to talk about this. I'm pumped because we were talking offline about some stuff that you guys are going to talk about in a couple minutes. So let's talk about, is there only one Mrtrashwheel or is there more?
No, Mrtrashwheel is a whole family.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so Professor Trashwheel, who was second in the Trashwheel family, she is in Canton on the Harris Creek stream. She is a little smaller. Adam, wouldn't you say she's the smallest one, or?
No, she's actually not as small as Captain.
Okay, take that back. Captain's the smallest trash wheel. So Captain Trash Wheel, they are Masonville Cove, which is a little bit outside, like the Inner Harbor. And then the newest trash wheel, Gwenda the Good Wheel of the West in West Baltimore. She is my favorite, maybe. I don't know. Mr. Trash Wheel is my favorite, but Gwenda's a close second because she has this beautiful purple eyes, and she... she's the newest, but she is collecting so much trash. She's even beat Mrtrashwheel's storm record of how many dumpsters she got after one storm.
Yeah, Gwenda is the biggest trash wheel we've ever built.
She's so pretty. She even has an arm. The other trash wheels don't have an arm. It's like a claw that helps pick up the bigger debris in the water. I know. She really needed it, though. There's a lot of big debris that comes down the Gwen's Falls. And what else about Gwen? Was it 23 dumpsters? There was a storm. Yeah. So there was a big storm. She got about 23 dumpsters. And those are those big dumpsters you see outside a school building, that much trash.
Did you say 23 dumpsters?
Yes.
In one storm.
Where is this coming from? So people can understand, where is all this trash coming from? How does it get there? What is going on?
I mean, we're all connected. All of our neighborhoods in Baltimore, if you're along that stream, like rain can wash any trash in your lawn, on the street. It gets into like the stormwater, and it just comes down. Like the rain washes it into the water, and then it all comes together. It all comes out this outlet and into the harbor, which leads to the bay and then the ocean. So these trash wheels really are kind of like this last line of defense on these streams to get that trash before it enters bigger bodies of water.
Yeah, Chelsea, you raise a really interesting point here, because a lot of people sometimes think that it's because people are throwing trash into the water.
Right.
But it's not people just throwing trash into the water. Basically, in Baltimore, our streets are our streams. So whatever litter ends up on your street, in your alley, in a parking lot, when it rains, it all gets carried into our storm drains, which flow unfiltered into our streams and harbor.
Wow, say that one more time, please. Because I think people don't really realize. Say it one more time.
I mean, you think about it, like if you've got a trash bag out back and like rats and birds pick it open, or your recycling bin spills over in the wind, that trash, when it rains, goes into the storm drain. And again, storm drains, they don't go to a treatment plant. They just get directed right into our streams, right into the harbor and the Chesapeake Bay. So whatever goes down our storm drains ends up in our streams. And yeah, Mrtrashwheel is really the last best opportunity to pick it up before it just goes out into the wider Chesapeake Bay. And then the cost to try and collect every single, cup and bottle and cigarette butt would just be astronomical. So, there's kind of this bottleneck point where Mrtrashwheel sits at the end of a stream. And that's the best place to pick up this trash. The second best place, the best place is, before it leaves people's hands, right?
So you guys just celebrated a birthday, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about how you guys celebrated that. I mean, how that went down.
It was so fun. Mrtrashwheel turned 8. And we had kind of like a family picnic style event in Pierce's Park in the Inner Harbor. We had some reptile friends were there. We had DJ Edible playing some tunes. We even did a trash wheel performance where some of our volunteers dressed up as famous pieces of trash and kind of entered. There's a big sculpture there. And I don't know if you're familiar with Pierce's Park, but it kind of looks like Mrtrashwheel. So all these people dressed up as trash kind of flew into the sculpture as if Mrtrashwheel is gobbling them up. So it was just a really fun event, and there was a lot of people there. We sung Happy Birthday. Adam had a guitar, which tell them about the guitar.
The guitar, yes.
Yeah.
You told
Sure.
The guitar. Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, first of all, where to go with this? One of the things I loved about Mrtrashwheel's birthday is we gave him a present. We gave him a fresh set of trash booms because his booms were getting old. And so we laid out these trash booms in the park, and these trash wheel fans came and signed happy birthday messages to Mrtrashwheel on these bright orange booms. And so it's just really adorable to just see the outpouring of love that people have for Mrtrashwheel. As far as songs go, we'll talk about FanFest here maybe in a moment. This is we celebrate Mrtrashwheel fans at a festival every year that we do with Peabody Heights Brewery. And one of the things that came out of our fans, Jonathan Jensen, who's a bass player for the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra, wrote his very own song about Mrtrashwheel and kind of gifted it to our organization. And so at Mrtrashwheel's birthday, Jonathan came out and we together, sang Mrtrashwheel's song. And I even played a guitar that Mrtrashwheel picked up out of the harbor.
You told us about that on the tour. How many years did it take it to dry out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that guitar was unplayable for 2 years. I just left it in my basement. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. It sounds awful. But I guess it dried out after about 2 years, and then it became slightly playable.
Nice.
Playable enough.
Yeah, it's playable. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it sounds great, but it's got that classic Baltimore Harbor sound.
You guys had a big crowd down there. I mean, I was.
Yeah, we had 400 people come out for Mrtrashwheel's birthday, and it was amazing to see them all lined up on the promenade singing "Happy Birthday" in unison to this inanimate trash interceptor.
How often do you see that? It was so weird and so great. Like
that makes your job fun every day.
Absolutely.
And rewarding. And seeing little kids probably light up and see all that. That's amazing. So let's talk. Speaking of kids, do you guys work with kids at all? Like with any programs with Mrtrashwheel?
I mean, there's.
Sure,
I think we're yeah. I mean, I actually have I have a 2-year-old, and before I had a 2-year-old, I don't think I understood how much trash wheel obsession there could be in a 2-year-old's life. But I mean, like, my son wants to hear me sing Mrtrashwheel song every night before we go to bed. Wow. We see, kids are constantly like requesting Mrtrashwheelwheel birthday cakes, Mrtrashwheelwheel cookies. So, but we wanted to do more than just entertain kids. We want to educate them as well. So in partnership with Towson University and Baltimore City Schools, we launched something we call the Harbor Scholars Program, which is targeted at 5th grade students in Baltimore City Schools and their teachers. And so it provides paid professional development workshops for 5th grade teachers in Baltimore City, and then free field trips for their students to come down and not just meet Mrtrashwheel, but see the oyster gardens, the rain gardens, the turtle island we just installed, just to really connect with the living, breathing ecosystem of the Baltimore Harbor.
Wow. And I remember we were walking, the kids say your name. They're like, hey, Mr. Adam.
Right.
That was really cool. Like, I mean, the kids, you were like a celebrity down there.
I mean, I think everyone on my staff has to be trained to do a great Ecotour, because we get so many requests from school groups, from tour groups, from conferences. So we talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, last summer we did a partnership with Baltimore City Rec Centers. So we had, maybe 10 rec centers, 30 kids each, come down to the harbor, and we took them on eco-tours. And that was, it was a lot of kids, but it was a lot of fun. And sometimes you don't think kids are going to be interested about oysters, but then when you pull that cage out of the water and show them what a baby oyster looks like, they get so excited. And it's just like, what is that? That's so weird. Ew. But in a good way.
So, okay, you brought it up, the eco-tours. Let's talk about eco-tours.
Sure.
We went on an eco-tour. I was blown away. I love Turtle Island. That was my favorite out of everything. I loved oysters, but Turtle Island was really, really dope. Tell us a little about the eco-tour. Is it self-guided for some people, or can people sign up for eco-tour? Is it how do we talk about it? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So you can sign up for an eco tour, and one of our staff will take you on one. A lot of the times it's me. So I'm out there, especially with the kids, out there with the kids. And we just kind of take you around to the different green infrastructure that we have in the inner harbor. I always started off with oysters. I think that's so cool. And then I end it with Mrtrashwheel, which is the coolest, and the kids love that. We can even turn Mrtrashwheel on. So sometimes we'll do a magic spell or a countdown, and then have them turn on, and it's really exciting for them.
That's fun.
Yeah.
What else? And then about the oysters. I know about the oysters.
Well,
the oysters.
Mrtrashwheel is great, but our goal is not to just pick up trash forever in the Baltimore Harbor.
Right.
We have this much larger goal of actually cleaning the harbor up, and putting Mrtrashwheel out of business, honestly. And so one of the things we do is we work with Chesapeake Bay Foundation on the Great Baltimore Oyster Partnership that grows about 200,000 baby oysters in the Baltimore Harbor every year. These oysters are not for consumption. They're for restoration. And what we do is we grow them in cages all around the promenade in the Baltimore Harbor. And these cages protect baby oysters from predators and hang near the surface of the water where there's plenty of food and oxygen for them. And they grow in the harbor for around 9 months, which gives them a huge head start on life. So then we transplant them to a protected oyster sanctuary in the Chesapeake Bay, where they will live out the rest of their lives, providing habitat and filtering water. So they're actually helping to make the bay cleaner.
That's so cool. When you showed us the other day, I was blown away. All the little shrimp that were right there.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. We had
shrimp.
so many. What is it, brine? Yeah, brine shrimp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts.
I didn't even know that was in the harbor.
That's what I love. So we get volunteers out to grow these oysters, and not only do we want volunteers to see that the oysters, not just survive but thrive in the Baltimore Harbor, but that there's this whole other ecosystem that comes to life that's just built around these oyster reefs. Even when they're just 150 shells in a cage, all this life comes flocking to these oysters, including the shrimp, the crabs, the polychaetes, and so you pull
and eels. That's the best
eels.
one. Don't forget eels.
Hold on. There's eels in the harbor?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we have American eels, and they're my favorite because they will come flying out of the cages and they're wiggling around, and it's a challenge to get them back in the water, and people just don't expect it at all, and it's
Do
great.
you see teeth?
Yeah, do they have teeth?
I don't know if they
I
have
don't
teeth.
know. I don't see teeth.
I gotta tell you, man, the eels move so fast. It's hard to get a good look in their mouths.
So because I'll be honest. I just had an interview with the Aquarium,
Yes.
and I told him Me and snakes don't get along.
Oh,
I fear
okay.
snakes. So anything that slithers around the water. So did you ever get nervous seeing like a eel? Like, are you guys used to it now?
No. I mean, it's always a tremendous opportunity, especially when you're there with volunteers and they're like, oh my God, here's like blue crabs hanging off my cage and I've got eels over here. Like there's so much life in the harbor.
It just makes it so exciting. And yeah, especially if you're a new volunteer and you're not used to seeing this life in the harbor, there is that perception that there isn't wildlife in the harbor, things aren't growing, but there very much is. And especially when we pull up these cages and shrimp and eels come flying out, you really see that.
Yeah, I saw it one of your Instagram because I love following your Instagram because it's very creative and I get to educate myself. You guys had like a volunteer day and they were picking oysters and then doing stuff. Was that in a wetlands or marsh somewhere you were recently? Or was just you guys were out? It was a big group of people out there?
Yeah, so recently we planted our oysters. So it was at
Okay.
the end of their oyster season in the Baltimore Harbor after that 9 months. And we take them to their oyster sanctuary further out in the river. So I think that's what you were seeing because we
Yeah.
did that most recently. And that's fun because we take them out of the cages. This is like their last hurrah in the harbor. And then, we take them out on a boat. So it's also fun for the volunteers just to be like on a boat and out on the water. So it's a lot of fun. I think that's probably what you saw.
I thought it was amazing. I wanted to sign up.
Yeah,
It was too late. I
we'll
was
take
like,
you out there.
I wanted to sign up for it. I definitely.
Right. So, yeah, the program launches again in the fall. So it'll be like September, October. We'll be looking for volunteers again.
Sign me up.
Yeah. I'll
sign
put your
me
name
up.
down.
Put my name down. Put my name. So let's talk about, I think we talked about Healthy Harbor Initiative, but 30K grant, the grant you guys have.
Sure.
Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so we're very lucky to have Mrtrashwheelwheel adopted by a local Baltimore company called Pompeian. Folks probably know of Pompeian. They make olive oil and distribute it throughout the United States, but they're headquartered right here in Baltimore. And they rely on the Baltimore Harbor to, import olives to make olive oil. And so they wanted to do something to give back to the Baltimore Harbor, and they adopted Mrtrashwheel. So that's why if you go down to Mrtrashwheel right now, he's got a giant spinning olive branch on his wheel, and he's got some bright green eyes. So we really appreciate the support of Pompeian. And one of the things they wanted to do was not just give back to the harbor, but give back to Baltimore City communities. So we worked with them to create a community beautification grant program. That has so we get $30,000 a year to give out in small grants from like $1,000 to $5,000 that folks can apply for those grants on our website, waterfrontpartnership.org.
I love it. I'm so excited. Because I was trying to figure out, why is olive oil like an olive down here? I really think it's really, really cool. And I love how you guys are educating, getting kids in 5th grade to get involved in the harbor. That, to me, that means a lot to a lot of Baltimore City kids, parents, something to do, learn about the ecosystem and conservation and everything like that. Do you guys partner with like the Aquarium at all? Do you guys work with them at all? Any projects?
Oh, certainly. I mean, Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore, I like to say partnership is our middle name.
Okay.
Because it literally is. But also because we're a small team, right? There's Chelsea and I, there's like 2 other folks who work on Healthy Harbor and an intern. And, the goal of making the harbor safe for swimming is a big goal. So you can't do it without big partnerships. So we've worked with the Aquarium most recently on building that Turtle Island basking platform. So it was really terrific because Jack Cover, who is the curator at the National Aquarium, just has a passion for building turtle islands, and he's been building them inside the aquarium for so long. And we were like, hey, if we get the money together, can we get you to build a turtle island outside the aquarium at what we call the Lancaster Street Canal, where we saw so many turtles just floating on trash. And I was like, we've got to do better than that for these guys. And so Jack came up with this ingenious design that has a floating wetland, it has alcoves for sleeping turtles, and it just has a surface area for these turtles to bask because they're cold-blooded turtles and they need to get warm in order to even digest their food. So especially in April when the water's very cold, they're desperate to get out in the sun. So we put this turtle basking platform, which anybody can go down to the harbor and see. And man, we've counted up to 40 turtles on this island at one time, like just climbing on top of each other.
Yeah, they like pile on top of each other.
And no one knew that that we even had 40 turtles just sitting in this one little canal in the inner harbor. And so now there's like a bench that's across from the turtle island, and you can just, I see people all the time just sitting on the bench enjoying the turtles. And
Where's it located so people can know where they
So,
find it?
Lancaster Street Canal, if you can find Lancaster Street, there's There's a Whole Foods. There's a
Raw Sushi is right there, yeah.
There, yeah.
Okay.
Go to
So-
Raw Sushi across the street. There's Turtle Island.
Or even just the Living Classrooms Foundation campus is right across from that. So, but that project never would have happened without the partnership of the National Aquarium.
I love hearing about that. And that was I like the turtle. I was like, this is really cool. I have to come back and check this out.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. So, local beer. It's very popular around here. And I talked about in the beginning. I remember getting this beer at Peabody Heights, and I was like, this is really good. This is a really good beer. And how did you guys end up partnering with them? Or did they just said, did they call you and say, hey, we're going to make a beer with your name? Did you get your permission and then, or just appear one day?
Well, I mean, one of the brilliant things about the Trash Wheel fandom, I mean, they're just so supportive and they're so passionate. And I remember hearing about the Chicago Museum that has Sue the T-Rex. And Sue the T-Rex is like very popular on Twitter. And Sue has her own craft beer in Chicago. And I remember thinking, why doesn't Mr. Trash Wheel have a beer? And so we literally did a post on social media of Mr. Trash Wheel saying like, hey, does anyone out there want to create a beer for me? And Peabody Heights was on it, man. Like, we got a couple of breweries that responded, but Peabody was persistent. They were the first to respond, and they like called us the next day and the day after that saying like, we can do this. We want to be the ones to create a Mr. Trash Wheel beer. So we partnered with them to create Mr. Trash Wheel's Lost Python Ale, which is named after the time that Mr. Trash Wheel picked a live ball python snake out of the harbor. Yeah.
Nope.
But
Nope.
it's a delicious IPA that's actually done very well. And so we're really proud of that. And they actually have created a line of Mr. Trash Wheel beer. So I think there's like 4 of them now.
There's 4 different ones. Yeah, that's definitely really cool. Awesome. So we talked a little bit about of Healthy Harbor Initiative a little bit, and you talked a little bit off camera about the blue water. Want to tie that in with trying to make people be able to do recreational sports in the harbor.
Oh, actually, you're talking about the Baltimore Blue Way.
Yeah, sorry, Blue Way. Yeah, so
got
let's talk. Because this is all cause and effect from Mr. Trash Wheel getting all this stuff. Okay.
Right. Like I said, like our goal is a recreational harbor. Right. And, the harbor, one of the cool things about this job, and I've been doing this job for 11 years now, is that if you look back at water quality scores over the past 11 years, you can actually see positive trends in things like fecal bacteria, which is like the number one thing you want to worry about if you're talking about recreating in a waterway, because that will make you sick. And the number one source of bacteria in our harbor is the city's aging sewer system. But the city's been spending over $1 billion on fixing its infrastructure. And as they've been making those repairs, we've been seeing the water quality improve in the Baltimore harbor to the point where we think it is time to manage the harbor as a recreational waterway and a recreational amenity for the city and for the region. And so to that end, we've launched something called the Baltimore Blue Way, which is a master planning process for a series of water trails in the Baltimore harbor. So kayakers, canoers, stand-up paddleboarders, we want to encourage them to come down to the Baltimore harbor and to see our city's amazing sights from the water. Paddle alongside, a submarine. Paddle alongside the USS Constellation. It's an amazing experience, and we really want to market it and make sure everyone knows how to do it safely. So that's why we're working on the Baltimore Blue Way Master Plan right now, hoping to release that sometime in early 2023, and then get to work building new access points, improving existing access points, and just getting more people out on the water.
Oh, wow, I love hearing that. And then you told us a little bit that they're building a new trash wheel somewhere else in the world.
That's correct. Yeah.
Give us a little behind the curtain.
So I mean, we purchased the trash wheels from a company called Clearwater Mills. That's John Kellett's company. And for a long time, we had the only trash wheels in the world. But every week, I get calls and emails from cities all over the world who want this technology. And it's just taken them a while to figure it out. But right now, there's actually a trash wheel being built in Panama City, Panama, as well as 2 being built for Fort Worth, Texas.
Nice.
So those will be the first non-Baltimore trash wheels. And Baltimore should feel very proud that this is something that started here in our city, but is really seen as a success and has potential to clean up waterways all around the world.
Sounds like a good business trip to go to Panama.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, John Kellett has been down there.
He's been there a lot,
Hey, you just take a picture of it, go down there and say, hey, this is what originated from here. That's really, really cool. Yeah. What do you hope people, when they hear this, watch this on YouTube or listen to Spotify, Apple, whatever it may be, to walk away from hearing our conversation today? What do you want them to walk away with?
Oh, I mean, hope. Like, I want folks to have hope for the natural environment in Baltimore, whether it's, your local park or literally just the tree well in front of your house has the potential to help improve water quality, air quality, and your own quality of life. So learn about native plants, learn about green infrastructure, and come down to the harbor and experience the water. Definitely look us up if you're interested in volunteering. We'll get you to grow oysters. Maybe you can count Mrtrashwheelwheel trash with us if that's something you'd be into. But the Baltimore Harbor is alive and it is doing better than it's done for 100 years. And we just need to keep pushing to get us to that next milestone of being able to actually go for a swim in that harbor.
Yeah, I also think like all the kids that we bring down to the harbor, seeing Mrtrashwheel, seeing this invention, it's inspiring. It's like, okay, I can go home and think creatively of find a solution for whether that's cleaning the water or planting more plants, something for wildlife. But I can do it in a way that maybe is fun and not, boring school stuff. I can do something fun, put googly eyes on it, and it's actually a solution that's affecting the people around it. So I think that's awesome.
I love it. So I always ask the speed round of everybody. I always do. If you listen and watch to it, I always switch it up a little bit here and there. But here we go. All right.
Okay.
Ready? You guys ready?
Yeah. We're going to alternate answers?
I don't know.
No, go
Say it
ahead.
at the
We
same
want to
time.
know. Brunch or dinner?
Dinner.
Brunch.
What's your favorite meal? Favorite meals?
Fajitas.
God, that's a good
For
one.
brunch?
For brunch?
I'll eat them at brunch.
Oh,
Why not?
okay. Like, wow.
I appreciate
Okay.
you buying me time. Pad Thai.
I love it. Snowballs or ice cream?
Snowballs.
Ice cream.
And what's your flavor you like?
Oh my god. So growing up, I did like ice because of a weird. But now I'm like cherry or something like that.
What's wrong with that?
We do an ice cream with Baltimore in a box called Mrtrashwheel's Junk Food.
Ooh.
It's delicious. Cookies and cream ice cream with cookie dough, pretzel sticks, and marshmallow styrofoam cups.
Okay. All right. Is it work? Can you buy it anywhere?
Yeah,
Baltimore in a box in Hampton. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No. You know
Yeah,
what?
they have-
I already know
They have an ice cream store on the avenue.
Got you. All right. Chicken wings. Okay. Is that right? Eat meat here? Because I know always.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we both do.
Drums
Yeah.
or flats?
Flats.
Drums.
That's like the national debate.
What?
Flats. Yeah.
Oh my God. We're going to talk.
All right. Here's the big question: blue cheese or ranch?
Blue cheese.
For the chicken wings, blue cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
And crabs or crab cakes?
Crab.
Oh, I'm so lazy. I'm going with crab cakes.
Oh, okay.
I like the experience.
Yeah, I like the crab experience because your phone's down.
Yeah.
You're eating. You're having that conversation.
You couldn't pick up your phone if you wanted to.
No, you
don't. No, you do not want to touch that. And what is the best advice you guys have ever received?
Okay, mine is like kind of silly.
Let's hear it.
Nothing's
Okay,
ever silly.
use baking soda to get odors out of your carpet.
Okay. That makes sense.
That is the best advice.
That does make sense. That does make
best thing
sense.
you- ever heard.
It works so good.
That makes sense though. It does.
Life-changing advice.
It's changed my life.
Baking soda does a lot of stuff. It
I have a
does.
cat.
Oh, well, there you go.
We have hardwood floor for exactly that sort of reason. Sorry. I'll be a little bit. The best advice I ever received was to pursue my passion and do a job that I love. And if no one was going to pay me for it, do it for free until someone figures out how to pay me for it. That is how I got the job here with Waterfront Partnership. I started working for a place called the Center for Watershed Protection. And, I just came in and said, look, I'm your unpaid intern. What do you want me to do? And, I know that it wasn't easy after grad school to be unemployed and work for free. But I met so many people by doing that. And so many people were just like, wow, this guy is so passionate about this project. Like he's here every day, even though we didn't even ask him to be here. And through those networks, I've just met so many great people and really been able to build a career. And so that was the life-changing advice I have received because I was looking for jobs and I was not finding a job. And someone was like, look, just find some place that's going to let you do what you want.
Well, that worked for you.
It did. I had life-changing advice.
You just inspired me because I'm gonna keep him on this podcast until somebody says, you know what, let's hire him on the bigger stage.
Yeah.
There you
Thank
go.
you. That is inspiring.
Yeah.
We got to tell us social media now. I know we got. Where can we find you on the TikTok and there's so Twitter. There's so many things.
Mr. Trashwheel, everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Is it one the same name, Mr. Trashwheel?
Mr. Trashwheel, yep.
No underscores, nothing.
Nothing crazy. No.
Oh wow, that's even better. Even better. And if people again want to get in contact with you, say hey, we want to volunteer after watching this episode or anything else, what's the best way to get on?
I would say waterfrontpartnership.org is the best way to get in contact.
Okay,
with us.
Mr. Trashwheel doesn't have an email.
You can email Mr. Trashwheel at waterfrontpartnership.org. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. This has been exciting. I'm so happy. Hopefully when we go to volunteer, I bring the camera crew down there and just do some cool video. And then you guys have something really cool coming in September. That you guys, we're not going to talk about it on here. It's a little teaser.
All right.
And hopefully we can do something fun down there with you guys on that event. And I really like it.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank
Hey, thank you guys for
you.
coming on. People love, peace, grow. That's it.
That was great.
Thank
That was
you.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.